A murder suspect from Washington state, 20-year-old Isaiah Jamon Andrews, has become the subject of an intense multi-agency manhunt after authorities in California mistakenly released him from custody. Andrews is accused in the killing of another 20-year-old man in Seattle, and his release has raised serious questions about detention protocols and interstate communication between law enforcement agencies. This case began on Wednesday, October 15th. 2025, in Seattle's Northgate neighborhood near 2100 North Northgate Way. At around 4:50 p.m., police received multiple reports of gunfire coming from a hotel parking lot, identified in reports as the Hotel Nexus area. When officers arrived on the scene, they discovered a 20-year-old male suffering from a gunshot wound to the chest. Despite life-saving efforts, the victim was pronounced dead at the scene. The killing sent shockwaves through the area, and detectives immediately began piecing together what happened and who was responsible. Local media later identified the victim as Theodore Wheeler IV, also 20 years old. Within days, Seattle police publicly named Isaiah Jamon Andrews of Kent, Washington, as the primary suspect in the shooting. Investigators moved quickly, and soon law enforcement agencies across state lines were involved in the search for Andrews. Just a few days later, on Saturday, October 18, 2025, Andrews was located and arrested in California after a vehicle pursuit that involved multiple departments. Authorities apprehended him and booked him into the Martinez Detention Facility in Contra Costa County, California. At the time of booking, officials listed him under several holds: local California charges, a juvenile warrant from Sacramento County, and, critically, an out-of-state homicide warrant tied to the Seattle killing. From there, he was expected to remain in custody while arrangements were made for extradition back to Washington to face charges. However, what should have been a straightforward detention and transfer took a stunning and alarming turn. On Wednesday, October 22nd, just 4 days after the arrest, jail staff at the Martinez Detention Facility mistakenly released Andrews, according to officials. The error went unnoticed until after he had already been allowed to walk out of the facility. By the time the mistake was discovered, Andrews was gone. Deputies conducted an immediate search of the surrounding area but were unable to locate him. The Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office publicly acknowledged the serious error, announcing that the U.S. Marshals Service had been notified and had joined the search for Andrews. Local, state, and federal agencies were brought into the effort, and law enforcement networks across multiple states were alerted to the possibility that he may attempt to flee the region. The Sheriff's Office has also launched an internal investigation to determine exactly how such a major oversight could occur, especially considering the severity of the charges Andrews was being held on. As of October 30th, 2025, Andrews remains at large. A multi-state search is underway, and authorities are urging the public to remain vigilant. The situation has raised major concerns about detention protocol, data handling, and the communication systems used to track inmates with multiple detainer holds. Mistakes like this are rare but not unheard of, and when they do happen, especially involving a homicide suspect, they can have serious public safety implications. Anyone who believes they may have seen Andrews is strongly advised not to approach him. Instead, contact law enforcement immediately. You can call 911, the Contra Costa County Sheriff's Office non-emergency line at 925-646-2441, or your local U.S. Marshals Service field office. Officials emphasize that the public should not attempt to engage with or detain Andrews under any circumstances. This case has not only shaken communities in Washington and California, but it has also intensified scrutiny on jail release procedures. Questions remain about whether this was a paperwork mistake, a system failure, or miscommunication between jurisdictions. Answers are expected once the Sheriff's Office completes its internal review, and depending on the findings, procedural changes may follow. Meanwhile, the family of Theodore Wheeler IV continues to mourn as they wait for justice. A young life was lost in a violent shooting, a suspect was identified and arrested, and then, due to a procedural failure, that suspect was unexpectedly released back into the public. For Wheeler's family and the community, this case now represents not just a tragedy, but a failure in a system meant to protect the public. We will continue monitoring developments in this case, from ongoing search efforts to any statements from law enforcement to updates about the internal investigation into the mistaken release. If Andrews is located, arrested again, or if authorities provide new details, we will bring you the updates right here. For reliable crime updates and verified facts, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Our thoughts remain with the victim's family. As always, stay alert, stay informed, and thank you for watching.